Okay, let's get right into it. The WNBA is in the middle of a negotiation that could literally define its future. And I'm not just talking about salaries, this is about the survival and the entire direction of the league. The stakes? Well, they could not be higher. And look, that is not an exaggeration. The reporting behind this explainer makes one thing crystal clear. This isn't your typical labor dispute, like an NBA lockout or something. No, this is a moment where the WNBA as we know it is just hanging in the balance. So how on earth did we get to this point?
Well, right now, the whole situation is being called a high-stakes game of chicken. And it kind of feels like the league and its owners have already played their final card. They've put an offer on the table, and the sense is they're not going to budge much more. That leaves the players with a truly monumental decision to make.
To really understand this standoff, you gotta look at what both sides are fighting for. And it pretty much boils down to two things: a massive disagreement on how to slice up the pie, and a real disconnect on other key benefits that the players see as absolutely essential. I mean, just look at this. The financial gap is staggering. The league's latest offer gives the players a revenue share that doesn't even hit 15% of the total league revenue. The union, on the other hand, is asking for something close to double that, around 30%. That is a gigantic difference, and it is the absolute heart of this entire fight. But here's where it gets a little more complicated. The league's offer does have some pretty major incentives. For the first time ever, they're proposing a max base salary of over $1 million for the top players. The average salary would be over $465,000. I mean, that's a huge number, and it makes a player's decision that much tougher. And beyond the cash, there's this disconnect on benefits. The league has made some moves, offering higher 401k contributions and a couple developmental player spots, but the union is saying their top priorities, like comprehensive housing for all players, better retirement plans, and just improved facilities, they're just not being met. And this housing offer is the perfect example. So the league is offering one-bedroom apartments, but, and this is a big but, there are so many strings attached. It's only for rookies on a minimum salary, and after the first 3 years, the offer just goes away. And if you make even $1 over the minimum, sorry, you're not eligible. You can see why, for the union, this falls way short. So this brings us to the deeper, almost more dramatic part of this whole thing. This isn't just about percentages and benefits anymore. No, it's turning into an existential struggle for the very soul of the league. So what makes this situation so uniquely dangerous? I mean, why isn't it just about finding a middle ground like in other sports? Well, the answer is kind of unsettling. The reporting for this explainer reveals a really shocking possibility that's complicating everything. There are apparently people on both sides, in the owners group and among the players, who might actually be okay if the WNBA just collapsed entirely. This isn't a unified fight, it's a fractured one. So on one side, you've got some shareholders who reportedly feel like they're just burning money on the league and they want to cut their losses. But on the other side, you've got some high-profile players who might think their personal brands are so strong that they'd actually be better off financially without the league structure. When you have people on both sides who are willing to just walk away, finding a compromise becomes nearly impossible. Which brings us to the potential endgame here. There are two major forces at play that could either push everyone to a deal or cause a complete and total breakdown: the threat of a player strike and the chance that the union itself could fracture under all this pressure. So if these talks stay stalled and the owners refuse to sweeten their offer, the players' next big move could be to strike. And get this, the rumor is they might announce it during NBA All-Star Weekend to get the most media attention and apply the most pressure. But a strike is only powerful if everyone is on the same page. And the second, maybe even more dangerous possibility here is that the player base could split apart, and there are some really big pressures that could cause that to happen. Think about it. Major corporate sponsors could have a huge say here. Brands like Nike and Reebok have massive deals with the biggest stars. It's been suggested they might pressure athletes like Caitlinclark or Angel Reese to play, strike or no strike. And if just a few key players decide to cross that picket line for those new $1 million salaries, the union's solidarity and all its power would just crumble. So as we get to what feels like the final buzzer, it looks like there are 3 different paths the WNBA could go down, and each one has enormous consequences for everyone involved: the players, the owners, and of course the fans. The first, and maybe the most hopeful outcome, is that both sides just step back from the brink. They find that middle ground on money and benefits, a deal gets signed, and the league keeps growing, maybe even stronger than before. The second possibility is a strike. The players hold the line, they refuse to play until their demands are met. This would mean a work stoppage that could kill all the league's momentum and create a massive rift with ownership. And then there's the third, and honestly, the most catastrophic outcome, a fracture. The union breaks, top players cross the picket line, and the league tries to move forward with a divided player base. This could permanently damage the WNBA's credibility and throw its entire future into serious doubt. With the fate of the league hanging in the balance, the owners have made their move. Now the players have to make theirs. It's a game of chicken, where swerving feels like losing, but driving straight ahead could lead to a crash that takes everyone down. The only question left is, who's gonna blink first?